more balls put in play. I think there could be a better job of with the strike zone a little bit as far as doing that. I know the independent league is going to move the mound back 2 feet and try that, and it just seems a little drastic. I'd rather see them lower the mound back down than move it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That sounds pretty good as well too. And of course, just being around baseball for a long time and everything else. So, who are some of the favorite players that you grew up watching, and some of the teams, and what do you think were some of the best games in your memory?
Well, I've always been a Hank Aaron fan. Obviously, growing up in Wisconsin, the Braves were our team. Hank Aaron and Matthews were two of my favorite players. And then I've always had an affinity for Mickey Mantle. Just the talent that young man had, and the injuries and different things that caused him to much faster than his age should have done for him. But those are two or three of my favorites. There's a lot of great ones out there that I've enjoyed over the years watching. I mean, Mike Schmidt was always enjoyed to watch. I enjoyed growing up watching a lot of Cubs games with Billy Williams and Ernie Banks when the Braves had moved to Atlanta. So I could be all over the place on that just because I just enjoy baseball so much. And I mean, it's like Trout now, watching him is enjoyable, but it's hard to compare him to a Mantle or to Aaron, even though they will try, and they will, because it's a different time.
Right.
I mean, we went through the steroid era where everybody's hitting a lot of home runs, and was it the right thing? Was it the wrong thing? I'm not the judge, because everybody was looking at, if he's doing it, maybe I should do it, because it's a business, money. Mm-hmm. And that was a hard part, and baseball just turned a blind eye to it until they decided, okay, this has now got out of hand.
Right, exactly, too. And I remember the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa competition as well, too, where, McGwire hit 70 and Sosa hit 68. They found out it was steroids. So I guess the kind of question is like, do they allow it back then? Are they going to allow it now? Or it's like, are they going to wipe it off the record? Or does it still stand? Makes you kind of wonder about that.
Well, personally, my opinion is that since almost everybody in baseball knew what was going on, including the people who maybe are against the records or asterisking the records, just turned a blind eye to it. So it's whatever sport it is, and whatever is legal or not legal should be allowed to stand at that time. Mm-hmm. And that's just my opinion on the thing. I hold nothing against any of those guys. I think they found out themselves it wasn't good for them, and a lot of people that have used steroids in all the different sports have they had some serious consequences from them. But at the time, that's how they were making a living. And when you're a pro athlete, sometimes whatever it is you got to do to keep your job and to keep playing is what you do, whatever that means to each individual.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing too. And it sounds like you really enjoy what you're doing. Of all the ventures you've been in, and currently you're with Power Showcase, Home Run Derby, and Pitching Showcase. What do you consider your most favorite project that you've worked with, and what do you consider the most challenging of all the things you've done?
Most challenging of all the things I've done is scouting. Mm-hmm. Because there are so many variables and so many different things you're looking at depending on the age of the individual. The guy I work with Cincinnati, when you talk about high school kids, you're looking for one thing they're really outstanding at, and can they develop that and then grow from there. And then as you get up to the next level, what are the multiple things that this young player could do? And it's really challenging, because you could really like someone. I think the same thing happens in coaching. You really can like someone, but you just don't know if they can get to the next level if they've got the tools to do it. I mean, there's some guys like Vladdy Jr. that when you see him, you realize, okay, this guy from young could play and had a lot of good training from his dad who's in the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. But that to me is the most challenging, because there's no right and wrong. Do it this way, do it that way. It's all based on performance and speculation of what someone can do down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, that doesn't always work out.
I was just going to ask about the part as well, too. It's like, you had these people that say, oh, this guy's going to be great, this guy might not make it, and who are some of the people that you thought, they're not going to make it, end up making it, but then who are some of the people you thought were going to be great, but then they just kind of fell short? It's just like a scouting report. They say, oh, this guy's going to be great, end up tanking, or it's like, here's a guy that was drafted at the bottom, you think he's not going to have a chance, and all of a sudden, he ends up in the Hall of Fame. That type. So who are some of the players that, you thought would make it, didn't, and some the opposite?
Well, I tell you right off the top of my head, nothing particular comes to mind. I guess maybe that's because I'm old and forgot half of those people already. But the one that surprised me that made it, that nobody thought would ever be much of anything, and never was a superstar, is the Milwaukee Brewers manager, is Greg Counsell. Had the weirdest stance. Nobody knew why he did anything, but he was successful. Joe McEwen was kind of that way, a Cardinal guy for a while, that nobody could figure out when, where, or how, but they got the job done. And that's what it comes down to in baseball, is who can get the job done consistently, no matter what they look at or why they do certain things. Sheffield was just going to be a guy that was just always going to tear things up, coming up as a rookie with the Brewers, and it took him a while to really realize who he was and what he needed to be successful. And that's the challenge in Major League Baseball. You can draft a guy 1 and 2, and something in his head doesn't work when it comes to dealing with all the pressures of it. And within a couple of years, they're gone. I know there was a young man that the Reds drafted from this area a few years back, and thought highly of, picked him number 2, and within a few years, they had to cut him loose because he just never got above A ball, and last year he played, he hit $164. Well, that's not what they had hoped for, but it happens, and fight your loss and move on to who's the next guy that can be that guy.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing, too. And also, just a few more minutes left here. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
My biggest influence? Probably Mark Cressy. And a guy I coached with back in India, Greg Marchand. Greg was the first, he's in the Hall of Fame, coaches in Indiana now. First guy I ever coached with who just there was no way other than the right way to do things, and was always willing to help you to get better, to improve, as well as do anything for the kids. He's probably got almost all the kids that have played for him at one time or another would come back if they needed something to, Coach, how can you help me, or whatever. And that's all you can ask for when you're working with young men is, give them that opportunity to be successful and be there for them in their times of triumph and tribulation. So that's a big one there. And then Mark, when I moved out here to do baseball and work with him at his camps, the opportunity to meet so many current and former major leaguers, and coached a few that played over in the recent years, between Chris Tillman and Hank Conger and a couple other kids from his group that we worked with. But just that chance to get to meet people and kind of show people what you're doing and learn from them and move on. It's been a pretty outstanding opportunity in my book. I just never figured I'd ever be in the position I'm in to work with some of these guys and have the opportunity to have a couple kids that have made it to the show. And it's very rewarding, whether just seeing them be successful is all I ever care about.
That is amazing, too. And, of course, so what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
The best advice I can give is never look back and say, what if? As a player, don't look back and say, if I'd have just done this, or if I'd have worked out a little harder, if I'd have practiced a little harder, if I hadn't blamed everybody but myself for my downfall. Every player on that field knows whether they've given 100% or not, or whatever their 100% is for that day. And so don't look back and wish you'd have done all the things that you knew you should have done, or even a little extra to be successful, because that's the bottom line is what did I do? And don't be afraid to ask questions of whoever you're playing with or playing for, because in most cases, they're looking to do what they do to help you. Like I said, I get more out of seeing kids be successful that I've just had an opportunity to be around, or whether I've done some things to help them. It's always, the next level, and kids should always look at what are my opportunities to continue playing. Everybody wants to go play at the D1 schools in baseball, but that doesn't mean I'm going to play. Maybe I need to go to a JC somewhere where I can play for a couple of years and then get a chance to go to those D1 schools and show people what I'm going to do. But don't stop playing. As long as you got a chance to play, keep playing, make them rip the uniform off your back.
I love that. I love that. That's been great, Mike. Just want to say a big thank you for your time. I love talking baseball with you. I'd like to do that sometime down the road, and perhaps talk to you again before the World Series or during. And before we do that, tell everybody your upcoming projects and what's your website, and how can people contact you?
People can contact me just by emailing me to totalbaseball7@hotmail.com, and I can give them any information they're looking for, whether it's just they have questions about something or interested in training or whatever the case may be. And I'm always available that way. And at that point, I can also give them my phone number if they want to text, or just I have kids that will play for me, and in the middle of a tournament or something, young kids give me a call and, Coach, I'm doing this and that, and I can pretty much what they tell me they're doing, I can help correct them, and I've done it numerous times just because, I know who they are, and I know their areas of opportunity to where they can fool themselves a little bit. So I'm glad to help anybody anytime I can and give them whatever information I can. And coaching is teaching baseball, but it's teaching life too, and all the ups and downs that go with it. Mm-hmm. Just doing the best you can to be successful on a daily basis.
And that's the most important thing, and I think you've hit the nail on the head, Mike, and just want to say it's been a great pleasure chatting with you. Thank you very much for your time, Mike. Look forward to having you again soon, and we'll be talking more baseball down the road. Looking forward to it.
Well, Mike, I appreciate the opportunity, and glad that we were able to touch base and discuss baseball. Nothing better to do on a beautiful day in the desert.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. Also, become a sponsor of the program and or donate today at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of The Mike Wagner Show.